The truth behind Soo Kai and Tan Songyun's love story, a tale of timing, truth, and tenderness. In the dazzling world of C-drama, where fairy tales come to life and on-screen chemistry makes hearts flutter across continents, some stories refuse to stay confined to scripts. One such story is that of Soo Kai and Tan Songyun, a tale whispering corners of film sets, speculated upon by fans, and hidden behind gentle smiles and professional courtesies. But behind the poise and professionalism lies a truth woven with raw emotion, painful choices, and an unspoken bond that transcended the screen. This is not just a story of two actors who played lovers. It is the emotional, heartfelt truth of Soo Kai and Tan Songyun and what really transpired behind their beautifully complex love story. It all began not on a glamorous red carpet or during a high-budget drama shoot, but in a quiet rehearsal studio in early 2022. Soo Kai had just wrapped up a grueling historical drama and was yearning for something lighter, something real. Tan Songyun, always the bright spark on every set she graced, had been selected as a potential co-star for a romantic modern drama, Falling for Your Smile. When they met for the first time during script reading, there was an odd silence in the room. Not awkward, but electric. Tan Songyun, with her signature warmth and subtle humor, broke the ice with a teasing remark about Soo Kai's serious expression. He laughed, a real, unfiltered laugh. From that moment, something shifted. Something rooted itself quietly in both their hearts, though neither would dare say it aloud. The drama they filmed together became a sleeper hit, filled with laughter, tension, and subtle moments that felt too real to be just acting. Fans praised their chemistry, calling them the next iconic pair. Every stolen glance, every accidental touch, seemed to carry something more, and they felt it too. But with fame came fear. Soo Kai, known for his deep loyalty and emotional intensity, began to find himself drawn to Songyun outside of filming hours. He would linger a little longer after shoots, walk at her car, or wait for her to finish her scenes even when he wasn't needed. Songyun noticed. How could she not? But she was cautious, reserved in a way only someone who had known heartbreak before could be. The truth was, Tan Songyun had loved and lost before. Her mother's tragic passing had left a hole in her heart that no amount of career success could fill. And falling in love again, especially with someone as visible and beloved as Soo Kai, felt dangerous. There was one night, after a long emotional scene where their characters confessed their love for each other under the rain, that things almost changed. The director called cut, but Soo Kai didn't move. His eyes stayed locked with hers, not as a co-star, but as a man finally ready to speak his truth. "Why does this feel real?" he whispered. Tan Songyun looked away, her hands trembling slightly. "Because maybe it is," she replied, voice barely audible. But neither said more. The weight of the unspoken was too heavy. They walked away that night, drenched not just in rainwater, but in a storm of emotion. When filming wrapped, fans demanded more scenes, more interviews, more of them. Rumors swirled about their closeness, and soon the pressure mounted. Agencies intervened. Publicists warned them. Keep it professional, they were told. Any misstep, and your careers will suffer. Soo Kai didn't care. He was ready to risk it. But Tan Songyun wasn't. She still remembered the scrutiny, the loss, the fear. She begged him for space, not because she didn't feel the same, but because she felt too much. They stopped talking after that. No texts, no calls. Just silence. For months, they walked parallel paths, attending award shows together yet sitting apart, promoting the same drama yet giving separate interviews. Fans noticed. The spark was gone and no one knew why. But behind the scenes, both were hurting more than anyone knew. Soo Kai, unable to let go completely, wrote her a letter. In it, he poured his heart out. "You made me believe in something I didn't think I'd find again, a kind of peace, a kind of home. I don't know what we are now, but I know that with you, I was better." He never sent it. Tan Songyun, too, had written her thoughts. In the notes app of her phone, hidden behind a password only she knew, were journal entries filled with longing. "He looked at me like I was the only person in the world. But how do you trust love when the world's eyes are watching, waiting for it to break?" They were two people in love, but lost in their own fear. In early 2025, the universe, or perhaps a very persistent producer, brought them together again for a charity gala. It had been over a year since they last truly looked at each other. Backstage, Soo Kai stood in a black suit, adjusting his cufflinks. Songyun walked in, stunning in a soft lavender gown, her eyes scanning the room and then stopping. On him, he smiled, a tired, nostalgic smile. She walked up to him, heart pounding. "Long time," she said. "Too long," he replied. That night, they didn't just share a stage. They shared closure, and maybe the beginnings of something new. They sat together at the after-party, this time without the watchful eyes of cameras. Soo Kai finally asked a question that had haunted him for years. "Why did you pull away?" Songyun looked down. "Because I was scared of how real it felt. And I didn't want to lose you by rushing into something I wasn't ready for." "And now?" he asked, his voice soft. "I'm still scared," she whispered. "But maybe we could try." Slowly. No official statements were made. No announcements. But over the next few months, fans noticed a shift. A shared coffee post. Matching bracelets. A soft smile in an interview when someone asked about someone special. Their love story was never about grand gestures or viral headlines. It was about timing, healing, and choosing each other again, even after everything. Friends close to the pair say they're happier now than they've ever been. They've learned to protect what they have, to value quiet over spectacle. Soo Kai, always a romantic, has even joked about writing their love story into a drama one day. Tan Songyun just laughs, her eyes shining with something that can only be described as love. The truth behind Soo Kai and Tan Songyun's love story is not the kind that makes tabloid headlines. It is gentler, quieter, and infinitely more profound. It is a truth of two souls who met at the wrong time, walked away, and then found their way back. Not because of fate, but because of choice. They chose to heal. They chose to wait. They chose each other. And in a world that thrives on fast love and faster heartbreaks, maybe that's the kind of truth we need more of. Before their names were ever paired together in trending hashtags, before fans began dreaming up wedding edits and video montages of stolen glances, Soo Kai and Tan Songyun were just two professionals walking into a rehearsal room on a rainy afternoon in Beijing. She arrived first. The studio was quiet except for the rhythmic tapping of rain on the large windows. Songyun, in her oversized hoodie and sneakers, sat cross-legged on the floor, flipping through the script. She hummed to herself, a habit she had picked up to calm nerves before readings. When the door creaked open, she didn't look up right away. Soo Kai stepped in, slightly breathless, rain dripping off the edge of his umbrella. He spotted her immediately, not because she was doing anything special, but because her presence was undeniably warm, like walking into a room and finding the sun had somehow taken human form. "Hi," he said, shaking off the rain. She glanced up, and in that instant, something shifted. Tan Songyun smiled, that small, mischievous smile that always held more than it gave away. "You're late," she teased, even though he wasn't. Soo Kai chuckled. "You're early. Or maybe I just wanted a head start," she quipped. They laughed, and it was effortless, like picking up an unfinished conversation from another lifetime. Their first script read was supposed to be casual, a quick run-through to test chemistry. But as soon as they began reading, the energy in the room changed. Everyone felt it. The director, the producers, even the assistants standing by the door. There was a scene where the female lead confronts the male lead after a long misunderstanding. The dialogue was sharp, vulnerable. Tan Songyun read her lines with precision, eyes shimmering with unshed emotion. Soo Kai, who had always prided himself on being focused, suddenly found his heartbeat climbing. He stumbled over a line, something he never did. "Cut," the director said gently. "Let's take a moment." Soo Kai looked at Songyun, who was watching him with an arched brow. "Are you nervous?" she asked. "No," he lied. "Then stop looking at me like I just broke your heart." There was a pause. "That's the problem," he murmured under his breath. "It already feels like you did." She didn't respond, but her eyes flickered with something unspoken. Maybe understanding, maybe fear, maybe recognition. As filming began, The script brought them closer, but it was the moments between takes that truly built the foundation of something deeper. One day, they were shooting a sunset scene on a rooftop. The crew was delayed, so the two sat on the edge, sipping bubble tea and watching the sky bleed into soft pinks and oranges. Sue Kai, suddenly quiet, asked, "Do you ever think about what's next?" After all this, SONGYUN didn't answer immediately. "Sometimes," she finally said, "but I'm more afraid of what I'll miss while worrying about what comes next." He looked at her differently then, like he saw not just an actress, but a person who had quietly fought wars no one knew about. A woman with laughter in her voice, but lost tucked deep behind her eyes. That evening, as she wrapped a scarf around her neck and prepared to leave, he stopped her. "I like talking to you," he said, simply. She looked at him, her expression unreadable. "Then don't stop." Sue Kai never confessed his feelings out loud, not in those early days. But he didn't have to. His actions spoke volumes. He memorized how she liked her coffee, black, no sugar, no nonsense, just like her moods on early morning shoots. He'd bring her hand warmers when temperatures dropped suddenly on set. When the crew celebrated someone's birthday, he'd always save her the strawberry shortcake slice, knowing it was her favorite. During one emotionally exhausting scene where her character breaks down, SONGYUN was drained. As she walked off set, Sue Kai wordlessly handed her a bottle of water and placed a hand on her shoulder. He didn't speak. He just stayed. Later that night, she sent him a message. "Thank you for seeing me, even when I'm a mess." He replied instantly, "That's when you're most real." Midway through filming, the director organized a casual cast dinner. Everyone was loud and lively. Toasts, laughter, karaoke. But Sue Kai and SONGYUN found themselves outside on the balcony, away from the noise, sharing grilled skewers and stories. She told him about her childhood, how she used to dance in her living room, pretending she was a lead in every drama, how losing her mom had changed her, made her more guarded, but also more grateful. He really listened, and when the night wind got too cold, he removed his coat and draped it around her shoulders. "Why are you always like this?" she whispered. "Like what?" Kind, without expecting anything back. He looked at her, eyes soft. Maybe because some people are worth it. Their eyes locked. For a moment, it felt like the world was holding its breath. But just before anything could happen, someone called their names from inside. The spell broke. They returned to the party, and the moment slipped into memory, unspoken, but unforgettable. By the time the drama's final scenes were shot, rumors were swirling. Staff whispered about how close they were. Tabloids speculated. But they never confirmed, never denied. Their silence wasn't avoidance. It was protection. Sue Kai had once told a close friend, "I don't want our story to be gossip. I want it to be real. Something she can hold on to, not something the world tries to tear apart." And SONGYUN, when asked in an interview what her ideal partner would be like, smiled knowingly. "Someone who listens even when I'm silent. Someone who sees me even when I'm invisible to the world." The fans noticed. The glances, the subtle smiles, the way they seemed to orbit each other, always within reach, never colliding, yet undeniably drawn. The final day of filming was emotional. Everyone hugged. Sue Kai pulled SONGYUN aside. "I'm going to miss this," he admitted. "Me too," she replied. There was a pause. "If things were different," he began. "But they're not," she said gently, finishing the thought. He nodded. "Then let's remember this for what it was. Beautiful." She smiled, tears in her eyes. The best kind of heartbreak. They hugged, and this time it felt like goodbye. But as fate would have it, it wasn't the end. That final goodbye was just the intermission. And maybe, just maybe, that first meeting, that spark, that quiet conversation under the hum of studio lights, was always meant to be the beginning of something extraordinary. They had met not as stars, not as celebrities, but as two people simply trying to find a place to belong. And in each other, they almost did. Now, as they walk quieter paths toward what may yet be a second chance, the truth of their story lingers like a haunting melody. Not loud, not showy, but unforgettable. Because sometimes love doesn't come crashing in. Sometimes it tiptoes in softly, sweetly, and waits until